soundtracks was just something else, man. And man, still to this day, I love the combination between artists and A&Rs, sorry, producers and A&Rs doing compilations and soundtracks. Hence, Lou. Lou has always been somebody who really comes together and puts together records with different artists from the East Coast and the West Coast. He has his imprint, Akron to LA, and I want Lou to talk about what inspired him to really put these artists together and why it's important to continue it now. You know what I mean?
So, like I always, I started off with me being a big Dog Pound fan and just me being a big fan of West Coast music, period. So I always wanted to have some type of, when I was started doing projects, I wanted to have some type of avenue for the artists that I was working with out there in LA, out there in California. You know what I mean? And through me doing stuff previously, I had built a few relationships with Rob, you know what I mean, with a few people up in the Bay like Black C from RBO Posse when I was doing management and stuff like that. So when I was managing artists, I was still building relationships. And then when I got
RBL, sorry to cut you off. Shout out RBL.
Legendary sure. Black C. So once I started not managing anymore, I started having to figure out a new way to still stay in the game and keep making records. And I started saying, okay, well, I'm gonna start taking artists that wouldn't normally work together and start trying to come up with a different sound. You know, if you put the same crew together all the time, you're trying to kind of get this. But if you take somebody from California and somebody from from Ohio, and put them together, for one, they're gonna be battling each other, trying to kill each other on the track. Right. And for two, you know what I mean, you're just gonna get a sound that you wouldn't normally get. So
that's what I like about it, Lou. So let me interject. I love how, if you take those contrasting artists, they will not just try and outshine each other, but they will also try and assimilate each other's sound.
Yes, sir.
One will try and sound like the other, one will try and sound like the other, and they will try and make it a cohesive record. Continue.
Mm-hmm. So once I started doing that, my goal was, okay, to build a bridge from Akron to LA. And through that process, I started realizing if I didn't have a name for myself, then that process was going to be a lot harder. So I said, building the whole Priceless Music thing, I started going out and doing records with people that I was really big fans of and already had traction. I'm like, I'm going to go get this artist out here that's popping. He really got traction out this way. And I'm going to do something with one of my guys back home that's really popping and start making those records. And from that, we kind of built a Connected series. And I got Connected Volume 1 and Volume 2. And that kind of like cemented to people what I was trying to do now. Okay, he really out here putting these records together. They call me the Akron Khaled around here. You know what I mean? Because I do what Khaled do. You know what I mean? But I actually do some production on some of my projects as well. You know what I mean? I do have a core production, which is Local Astronauts. I ain't doing no project without them. You know what I mean? He actually got me started in production. You know what I mean? And from that, now on this project, I said, you know what? I did a lot of building. I kind of need to bring it back home now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And really push back home again. And with some of the avenues I got, I felt like it was time to do that. And who knew my son was going to be a part of the whole project and everything too.
Fire.
You know what I mean?
Good stuff.
And, we be bumping heads because, we talked about it earlier. I had the whole unique part of fighting the fatherhood part versus the record exec part. You know what I mean? Record exec, I love the records. As a father, sometimes you don't want to hear what these YNs gonna say. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then me doing a lot of stuff that I do in corporate America. He like, Dad, you ain't pushed that record that I just put. I said, man, I can't put that out there. You know what I mean? They gonna look at me like, that's what your son's talking about. But after a while, I'm like, you know what? If I build it a certain way, then it'll be more acceptable. You know what I mean? And everybody can see what I'm trying to do. So it's probably about 2-3 years now. I ain't gonna say I shelved him, but I just kept giving him the tough love. He wanted, Dad, you doing this, you doing that. Let me be a part of that now. I'm like, you ain't ready yet. You gotta still develop this. You still gotta develop that. And I just wanted him to develop more as an artist instead of coming in and thinking just because Dad is doing this or that he's gonna automatically get to the front of the line. No, you gotta build it yourself. You know what I mean? And then as you build that, we're gonna cater it. We're gonna figure it all out and make it work together. You know what I mean? So this was
I,
the first. This was one of the first records that on my projects that he's on.
wow. I'm trying to say I've never thought about that side of the equation. In entertainment, nepotism is always, an outlying conversation. But I've never thought of that fine line that you have to walk. Like, Rob, do you think you're gonna run into that?
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. But I think the best thing that Lou said is giving them the tough love, because you have to prepare them for what they're about to go through. You know what I'm saying? This entertainment business, this being a creator on all levels, is very, very, it's a difficult path. You know what I'm saying? Because you're choosing to not take the traditional route of doing anything. You're choosing to develop yourself, develop your business, develop your energies in a certain context that you have to fight from behind a lot. My oldest son, he just dropped the clothing line called Subject 77. He built his website, he designed his clothes, he did the marketing, he did everything. And all I did was just give him the go sign. Hey, go for it and show me something. I'll put the money into it when you show me that you're serious. And he built the whole thing and dropped it. And all I had to do was become a customer and buy the damn sweatsuit. I was a customer. That lets me know that he's ready for what's coming. He ready for it. You know what I'm saying? Usually, most kids, you got to walk them all the way down. I don't have to do none of that. He was just as focused as he wanted to be to push out what he wanted to push out. So yeah, if there's possibilities for nepotism that I'm going to explore with him and my youngest, Zai, for sure, definitely. But I still have to make sure that he's ready. He got to be ready for it, and at least willing to go through the fire to get himself prepared. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah. So salute to the kids, man, because they out here trying. They out here trying to do their thing. You know what I mean?
And congratulations to both of y'all. I've got years before I'm gonna have to deal with anything like that. He's still really young. Go ahead, Lou. What were you saying, Lex?
I knew he was ready when he delivered me his album, and it was enough records for me to. He got hundreds of records, and he was down here all the time working. But when he came and said, "Dad, I think I'm ready to really put a project out," I said, "All right, give me 16 to 20 songs." And usually it's a bunch of drill music. Right. The first record he gave me was a friend of mine off of his first project that I put out. And it was talking about, even though the relationship between him and his girl didn't work out, she gonna always be a friend of his. And I said, okay, now this is what I can get behind this kind of stuff right here. And it's just the fact that the fact that you even thought about that, you know what I mean? And that's a message that needs to be pushed with these young ones, because they think, hey, once we fall out, it's crash out. Bang, 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 So I love the message. And that grabbed my attention immediately. And as I start listening to a lot more of them records, I'm like, as much as I thought he wasn't paying attention, he was. And okay, he's paying attention.
That's a real thing, Lou. That's a real thing. They watch, like, they don't have to have a conversation with you to tell you, hey, Dad, I listen. They're never going to do that. They're just going to listen and follow in the footsteps. That's why I always say it's very important. Men and women, mothers and fathers. It's important for y'all to have dreams and chase them. I don't care if it's just having a book club. It's important because your kids are watching you. If you're going around and yes, I'm the father figure, I'm the mother figure, I'm the parents. Yeah, for sure. So that means the most responsible person in their life ain't got no dreams. They got no aspirations. Right. Like, you got to really pay attention, and because they're watching you every step of the way, from how you eat a sandwich to how you do business. You know what I'm saying? And I got a rude awakening, because there was certain things I was being lazy on, jumping against the time, and not fulfilling. And I had to have a conversation with both of my sons about being on time, being thorough, taking care of your business, covering your ass. Like, I had to talk. As I'm talking to him, I'm like, man, I gotta kick in the gear, because I'm telling them some bullshit right now, because I'm not on the same standard. For real. So I had to kick in the gear. And then when they see you, when they watch you, like almost every chance I get, I'm sending them a snapshot of me editing a movie or doing a film score. I sent them a snapshot of a new record that we just dropped. I sent them the link to Can't Freeze on Sway's Universe. I'm showing them every chance the more you kids are getting grown, the more I'm popping and the more I'm doing great things. So they mimic that same thing. They'll send me snapshots. Oh yeah, website just dropped. Oh, I just dropped a new record. Or I just made this new dish. Or I just made this farfalle pasta with the honey bacon and the like. Let's go. I love that.
Well, you need some penne in your life or something. You need some linguine. You've been on farfalle for I don't know how long.
I love it. But now my son Zai, he loved that now. That's his thing. So you know what I mean? All I'm saying is
he gonna definitely follow in your footsteps with that cooking.
100%, man, 100%. And I just, at the end of the day, we all have, even if we don't have kids, we all have somebody who's looking at us for guidance, even if it's not being said. They're looking for us to operate in a certain way to make them feel comfortable about chasing their dreams. You know what I mean?
I love it, man. You guys, thank you both for giving me some game, and for you just forged two separate episodes of what we're going to cover on Things Fall Apart going forward.